And second, we had done related to the peasants movement in Awadh. Had we completed it? The rebellions in the countryside. Here write down the question. First, that what did Swaraj mean to the people of countryside? What does Swaraj mean to the people living in countryside? Right there or mark it. The non-cooperation movement spread to countryside. The peasants first mark. This movement had started in Awadh. पहले तो कल mark कराए थे. Who was Baba Ramchandra? From where did he belong? And which type of person he was? You had marked till that indentured labor. Now, second, you will mark what were the demands of the peasants. You had marked that their demand was to cut short high rents and variety of other cesses. Then they wanted to end the begar and work at landlords, and they wanted to end the tenant without any payment. They had wanted a security of tenure, and they being regularly evicted so that they could acquire no right over the leased land. The peasant movement demanded, mark there, the peasant movement demanded, we had marked yesterday, that reduction of revenue, abolition of begar, and social boycott of oppressive landlord. In many places, these points you will not write. In many places, nice and hobbies you don't mark. In October 1920, from here mark it, Jawaharlal Nehru began going around the villages of Awadh, talking to the villagers and trying to understand their grievances. Grievances means problems. Mark it in so far. Then you will mark in October, they set up 300 branches. They set up Awadh Kisan Sabha came to formed. Here it is said within a month, 300 branches had been set up in the villages around the region. When non-cooperation movement began or started in 1921, as the movement spread in 1921, the Congress leaders tried to integrate it. Integrate means unite it. The Congress leaders wanted to unite it with non-cooperation, with Awadh peasant struggles. With Awadh peasant struggles. देखो लिखा है ना? When the non-cooperation movement began, the effort of the Congress was to integrate, that is to unite the Awadh peasant struggle into a wider struggle. Then, as the movement spread in 1921, change the line and write, the houses of talukedars, merchants were attacked, bazaars were looted, and grain hoards were taken over. Grain hoards were taken over. Then again write, the local leaders told peasant that Gandhiji had declared that no taxes were to be paid and land was to be redistributed among the poor. Okay, then till here you have marked. Then again, last concluded, but the actual demand, write it with pencil, but the actual demand of the peasants of Awadh, were not fulfilled, and the movement remained unsuccessful. Now write the next point, that the movement of the tribal peasants, Now again the same question you will write. What do these tribal people mean to Swaraj when non-cooperation movement started? Why they were attached with non-cooperation, and what was the meaning of Swaraj to them? Now mark here, the colonial government या ऐसे start करो ऐसे, that the tribal peasants, first line से ही start करो, the tribal peasants interpreted the message of Mahatma Gandhi and idea of Swaraj in another way के बाद arrow दो और उसके बाद लिखो. In the Gudem Hills of Andhra Pradesh, first point write it. In the Gudem Hills of Andhra Pradesh, a militant guerrilla movement spread in 1920. वहां पे लिखो because, उसके बाद लिखो because the colonial government had closed large forest areas preventing people from entering the forest to graze their cattle or to collect fuel wood and fruits. Second point में लिखोगे, not only their livelihoods were affected, livelihoods affected, but they felt that but they felt that the traditional rights were being denied, that their traditional rights were being denied. So, अब लिखोगे so, Alluri Sitaram Raju, mark this name. Alluri Sitaram Raju led the movement. वहां पे पेंसिल से लिख लो जहां 2 लाइन के बाद लिखा हुआ है. Alluri Sitaram Raju had led the movement. Second, he was inspired. He was inspired by Gandhiji. He was inspired by Gandhiji and persuaded the people. Persuaded word को underline करके लिखो. Forced the people. Forced the people to wear khadi. To wear khadi and give up drinking, give up drinking and participate, give up drinking and participate give up drinking. देखो लिखा हुआ है बुक में, मार्क करो उसको. Give up drinking and participate in non-cooperation movement. Drinking के बाद वहाँ पे पेंसिल से खुद लिख लो. And to participate in the non-cooperation movement. He asserted that, second line देखो लिखा है, he asserted that India could be liberated only by the use of force, not non-violence. The Gudem rebels attacked a police station and attempted to kill British officials and carried on guerrilla warfare for achieving Swaraj. Conclusion में लिखो, but failed. Conclusion, write it, but failed. Raju was captured, but failed करके आगे लिखना. Was captured and executed in 1924 and executed in 1924. Till here you will mark. Now next, what was the demand of plantation workers in Assam? Next paragraph के ऊपर लिखो. What was the demand of the plantation workers of Assam? What Swaraj mean to them? What Swaraj mean to them? अब यहाँ से लिखो. The plantation workers in Assam. The plantation workers in Assam workers in Assam. Freedom mean to them, second line में mark करोगे. Freedom meant the right to move freely in and out of confined space in which they were enclosed. हो गया? Second लिखो. They also wanted to be a part of, pencil से वहाँ पे लिखो. They also wanted to be a part of non-cooperation movement started by Mahatma Gandhi. They also want to be a movement of non-cooperation started by Mahatma Gandhi to achieve Swaraj. Then now complete your answer. अब 1, 2, 3 करके लिखोगे. Under the Inland Emigration Act of 1859, under the Inland Emigration Act of 1859, plantation workers were not permitted to leave the tea garden without permission. Second, when they heard of non-cooperation, thousands of workers defied the authorities, left the plantation and headed home. Third likho. They believed that Gandhi Raj was coming and everyone would be given land to their own village. Fourth, never reached their destination. Stranded means rokna. Stranded on the way by railway and steamer strikes. They were caught by the police and brutally beaten up. Till there you mark and then write. So their demand of Swaraj also came to an end. Now come to the next page, towards civil disobedience movement. Why non-cooperation movement came to an end? Or why non-cooperation movement was called off? Why non-cooperation movement was called off? Now mark here. The events in 1922 February, book में देखो mark करो. In February 1922, Mahatma Gandhi decided to withdraw the non-cooperation movement. First point, right? At Chauri Chaura, वहाँ पे pencil से लिखो. At Chauri Chaura in Gorakhpur, 22 policemen, ये बुक में नहीं लिखा हुआ, इसलिए बुक में लिखो. At Chauri Chaura, Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh, 22 policemen and 3 civilians were burnt by a violent mob Violent, V-I-O-L-E-N-T, violent mob. M-O-B, mob. Second right. Gandhiji felt that the satyagrahis, Adarsh Raj, close your mic. Thus, Gandhiji felt that the satyagrahis should be well trained. Third, some Congress leaders were, देखो फिफ्थ लाइन में है, some leaders के जगह लिखो some Congress leaders were tired of mass struggle and wanted to participate in election in the provincial council that has set up under the Government of India Act 1919. Next right. C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru formed the Swaraj Party within the Congress to arg means question, for a return to council politics. But the leaders like Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose pressed for more radical movement for complete independence or full independence, which is written, complete independence or full independence. Now come to the next topic. Towards civil disobedience we were doing. Now, the Indian economy, what was the impact of non-cooperation? What was the impact of, not non-cooperation, First World War, impact of First World War on Indian economy? Impact of First World War on Indian economy. Right here. The Indian economic consequence of Great Depression in 1920, and peasants were unable to sell their, ये बुक में नहीं है तुम लोग का, इसलिए दूसरा यहाँ से मार्क करो, यहाँ से मार्क करो. The internal debate and dissension, dissension word को underline करके लिखो, differences had two factors. They again shaped Indian politics towards 1920. Impact of economy देखोगे, अभी इसको लिखोगे impact on economy, और नेक्स्ट पैराग्राफ में जो जहाँ पे साइमन कमीशन है वहां पे लिखोगे इम्पैक्ट ऑन पॉलिटिक्स. तो फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर का इम्पैक्ट देख रहे हो, तो अब यहाँ से इकोनॉमिक इम्पैक्ट में मार्क करो दैट फर्स्ट was the effect on the worldwide economy. Two factors लिखे हो, फर्स्ट फैक्टर लिखो इकोनॉमिक फैक्टर और इकोनॉमिक इम्पैक्ट लिखो. अब उसको एक एरो दो और एलाबोरेट करो. The first was the effect of worldwide economic depression. Agricultural prices began to fall. Third, as the demand for agricultural goods fell, exports declined. Next, peasants found difficult to sell their harvest and pay their revenue. Yeah, अब वहां पे लिखो pay their revenue के बाद लिखो there was a total turmoil. Turmoil means up and down. There was total turmoil in village, countryside or village till 1930. अब second factor में लिखो impact on politics. The Tory government, यहाँ से लिखो मार्क करो, a Tory government, यहाँ से अगर लिखो a statutory commission under Sir John Simon arrived in India, arrived under the chairmanship of Sir John Simon, market, they refer to Simon Commission. Second, the commission was to look up into the functioning of the constitutional system in India. Constitutional system in India. Ab likho and suggest some changes. Constitutional system in India and suggest changes. Change and right. The problem was that the commission did not have a single Indian members. India demanded, वहाँ पे arrow देके लिखो, India demanded that out of 7 Britishers, whites, out of 7 whites, 1 Indian should be there. 1 Indian should be there. All Britishers Indians gave the slogan, Go Back Simon. Indians gave the slogan, Go Back Simon. When change the line and write, when Simon Commission arrived in India, in 1928, it was greeted with the slogan, Go Back Simon, and by showing black flag. हो गया? Then again market. In order to win the Indians back, in an effort to win them over Indians, in an effort to win Indian over, Viceroy Lord Irwin announced in October 1920 a vague offer of dominion status. मतलब पूर्ण स्वराज देने की बात शुरू हुई. हो गया? Then second market. Lord Irwin announced in October 1929 a vague effort of dominion status for India in an unprecedented, unspecified future. Unspecified मतलब कोई particular date नहीं बोला गया, लेकिन बोला गया कि we will give you your dominion status, है ना? The round table conference to discuss the future constitution. So A round table conference was aimed forward to have a future discussion, and this did not satisfy the Congress leaders. This did not satisfy the Congress leaders. Congress leaders खास करके लास्ट में ये लिखना, Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose became even more assertive. Okay? Most of यहाँ से फिर मार्क करो. What were the provisions of Lahore session? What were the provisions of Lahore session 1929 under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru? What were the provisions of Lahore session under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru? अब आंसर देखो. In December 1929, under the presidency of Jawaharlal Nehru, he was the president of the Congress at that time, a Lahore Congress formalized the demand of Purna Swaraj for full independence for India. Change the line and write. It was decided that 26 January 1930 would be celebrated as our Independence Day. Third, people were take pledge to struggle for complete independence. Mahatma Gandhi